The ancient Egyptian civilization has been a long and extensive history that no country has been able to match the discovery of artifacts compared to ancient Egypt. For more than 4,000 years, the ancient Egyptian civilization has created a variety of beautiful and amazing relics that are almost unchanged today. The artifacts were of incredible design and beauty that were influenced by their reverence to the gods and sacred pharaohs, as well as to tell elite stories that will last forever. These are 8 of the most famous ancient Egyptian relics that prove the glory of the past. Pyramids. The Egyptian pyramids are one of the undisputed wonders of the world. The pyramids are one of the monumental buildings erected by the ancient Egyptians. This pyramid-shaped building with a stone structure, currently estimated at 118, has been found and identified. The initial purpose of building the pyramid was to make a storage place for the preserved bodies of the pharaohs. Not only did it contain the pharaohs' corpses, the pyramid also stored all the things the pharaohs needed to sustain the journey to the next world, according to the beliefs of the time. These huge towering structures could even be seen several kilometers away. Therefore, to build a pyramid is not easy, especially since it happened thousands of years ago when technology was not as advanced as it is today. Because it was not easy to build the pyramids, many theories emerged about who built the ancient Egyptian pyramids. Some say enslaved Jews or wild ideas, such as the lost inhabitants of Atlantis or even aliens. But none of these theories have any evidence to support them. To this day, how the pyramids were built remains a mystery. Sphinx. The Sphinx is a lion-bodied, human-headed Egyptian mythological creature that always steals the show. A lot of pictures show the existence of the Sphinx adjacent to the pyramids. That is why the Sphinx and the pyramids are 2 of the most famous ancient Egyptian relics. The Sphinx itself is known as the king's portrait statue. Previously, this giant statue was buried in the sand, and only the head was visible for thousands of years. It wasn't until the 1930s that an Egyptian archaeologist, Selim Hassan, managed to free the statue from the collapsing sand, revealing just how big it was. With a length of 73 meters and a height of 20 meters, it can be said that the Great Sphinx of Giza is the largest sculpture in the world. Based on research, color pigment residues were found on the surface of the Sphinx, indicating that this entire large statue once had color. It is assumed that the body of the Sphinx was once red, while the headpiece was blue and yellow. Hieroglyphics. The ancient Egyptian letters called hieroglyphics have been a mystery and a fascination for thousands of years. This ancient Egyptian writing system was based on images, making it complex and puzzling linguists for 1,400 years. But eventually, little by little, its meaning became known. The word hieroglyph itself is Greek, hieros meaning sacred and glypho meaning text. But in ancient Egyptian, hieroglyphs were referred to as medu necher, meaning the words of the gods. Finding the key to deciphering hieroglyphics is so difficult that even Egyptians in the 4th century BC couldn't read them. In addition, hieroglyphs do not have a convention of writing from one particular direction. This means they can be written from left to right to left, top to bottom, or bottom to top. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs are found everywhere, from monuments, tombs, boats, metals, as well as large stones or reliefs. In ancient Egyptian times, hieroglyphic scribes were trained in the art of reading and writing from a young age. The scribes of hieroglyphs also gained high status and were even exempted from taxes and military service. Mummies. As mentioned when we discussed the pyramids, inside the pyramids are the bodies of Egyptian kings preserved in the form of mummies. The tradition of preserving corpses like this has indeed begun since the glory days of ancient Egypt. In fact, it is not only the bodies of kings that are preserved, but the bodies of ordinary people are also preserved. Mummification itself is a corpse that is preserved for protection from decomposition both naturally and artificially, so that its initial shape is maintained. Mummification is usually done by placing the body in a very dry or very cold place, or the absence of oxygen or the use of chemicals. This mummy cannot be separated from the beliefs of the ancient Egyptians who believed in life after death. The ancient Egyptians believed that they would be resurrected after death, so they needed intact bodies. Therefore, the bodies of the people who died were then preserved, so that they could be used again when they were resurrected. Tutankhamun's tomb. When we mention ancient Egypt and the excavations of archaeologists, we think of the pyramids, sphinxes, and more. But few know that in fact the tomb of King Tutankhamun is in a completely different place, the Valley of the Kings. Ancient Egypt, the enigmatic pharaohs and the rich history of the Nile Valley, is undoubtedly one of the most fascinating and amazing aspects of modern archaeology. After decades and many excavations, the world's historians and archaeologists have discovered many amazing objects, mummies and monuments in the fertile Nile Valley. One of the best is the excavation of the well-preserved tomb of the famous King Tutankhamun. King Tutankhamun's tomb was an amazing discovery filled with magnificent objects that had never been seen before. It is still considered one of the most important achievements of the archaeological world today. Pyramid burials were a hallmark of the so-called Old Kingdom period of ancient Egypt that lasted from 2685 to 2180 BC. While the Valley of the Kings was part of the New Kingdom that began almost a millennium after the end of the Old Kingdom. Black ink. In addition to objects and artifacts, the ancient Egyptian civilization also left other findings that are very useful for modern life. One of those relics is black ink derived from beeswax. Black ink was first discovered by the ancient Egyptians. At that time, the ancient Egyptians did writing by utilizing black ink, made by mixing soot from burning vegetables and beeswax. Over time, the ancient Egyptians began to conduct other experiments. They tried replacing the soot with various other organic materials to get different coloring effects. As a result, they found that ochre could be used to replace soot to achieve red ink. Papyrus. Papyrus is the forerunner of paper that is used today. The term papyrus comes from the name of a type of aquatic plant that lives along the Nile River. The leaves of this plant resemble loose hair, while the stalk can grow 3 to 5 meters. Since as early as 3000 BC, Egyptians have used papyrus sheets for various things, such as paper for writing, baskets, mats, ropes, or sandals. Papyrus branches or stems can also be woven to be used for various purposes. The quality of papyrus paper has high durability because papyrus paper is still intact when found 5,000 years later. Water clock and shadow clock. Time is very important to human life, and the ancient Egyptians have taught the world. The ancient Egyptians invented 2 types of clocks, the water clock and the sundial. The sundial was in the form of a stake under the hot sun. They then divided the movement of the pole's shadow into several time zones. However, the sundial could only be used during the day. For this reason, they use a water clock in the form of a container with a small hole at the bottom, so that water can drip constantly. The container was then marked to show the rate of change in the water level as well as the time. Water clocks function more like a stopwatch in the modern world. Well guys, that's some ancient Egyptian relics that prove their glory in the past. Don't forget to write your comments below and like the video if you like this content or dislike if you don't like it. Thanks for watching and see you next time.